Hello, good afternoon. Well, it may be morning where you are, but where I am, it's afternoon. Today I am going to be talking to you about resources and where you can find resources to help you identify history locally. First of all, I'm going to talk about the location I'm at today. So I am in Little Acre Fen Pocket Park in Chatteris. It's an area really close to where I live, so I'm here frequently, and it's a lovely little place to investigate. And from a historical point of view, there are lots of areas of interest around here. So just behind me, up here, is the old railway line that you can now walk on from Chatteris to Somersham. I believe it goes all the way there. I'm not entirely sure because I've not walked it, but the old railway line that was in place, the station was over next to where Tesco was, in between Tesco and Metalcraft. And there's also lots of other interesting things around here. So a lot of this area possibly was marshland, but around it there was also medieval items have been found. Roman, there's been some Roman right behind me over here and over back towards Chatteris, and even going back to prehistory. There's a lot of lots and lots of things have been found all around Chatteris, to be fair, but on the outskirts as well. So don't buy into this idea that because everywhere was marshy in the Fens there's no history. Chatteris is absolutely full, and the more that we're learning about how people lived, the more we learn that actually the marshes didn't stop people. And there's anyone who's interested in how Iron Age people lived, I believe it was Iron Age, Must Farm in Whittlesea is very interesting because they lived up on poles because of the marshes. So don't just think because there was marshes no one was around, because they definitely were. So resources, well, online there's loads and loads of resources, aren't there? Google is great. The National Archives is a very, very good website, and the Imperial War Museum. They're sort of the ones off the top of my head, but keep going, keep digging, and if you find something, keep going with that and look for rabbit holes. Now, most resources I recommend are free, but there is one that I really, really love, which is called ARCHI. I think it's pronounced Archie. It's a website or an app, ARCHI, and basically people can log where they find things, and then when you look on there and you look at local finds, you can then discover a pattern, and quite often this gives a good indication. So, for example, if you look at Doddington, there are lots of Roman things that are being found between Doddington and Chatteris, going sort of via the main road that's currently in place, and it shows that that route was probably used during the Roman times. So it gives like a picture, an indication that it's worth looking further. Now, don't solely rely on these because they do need to be taken into context, and in addition, you have to remember that these things are only as good as the information that people log as well. But it's a good starting point. Now, that costs, I think, £50 a year, and someone like me, I find it really useful. They have maps, so many maps, and I love a good map. And topography is another good one. So if you're looking at maps, look at a map that has the topography. So that's all the contours of the land, and that will give you an indication of where the highest places were, which is likely to be the places that were inhabited more so. Now, also use your local resources, your museums, your local historians, your local Facebook groups. Now, there are some incredible museums around here. Chatteris Museum is a museum I go to frequently. It's run by curator Sue, who is an absolutely lovely person, and she's got a really, really good volunteer team. And any question you ask the museum, they will always come back, always, either with they can't help, but they will give sort of information on where to go, or they will amaze you with what they find. You have to remember about a lot of museums is that the things on display are a very small percentage of their archive, and quite often they have access to other things that you won't, and they have things stored away. So ask Chatteris Museum, email them, they are brilliant, and I can't sing their praises enough. Your local historians, David Edwards is a historian who volunteers at March Museum, and he knows everything there is to know about Doddington and March. And again, if you ask him a question, he will always come back to you either with I can't help, or signpost you, or give you what he has. And Another person I really need to give a big shout out about is Sarah Moore and Jamie up at Fossils Galore. Now, Jamie Jordan is an absolute font of all knowledge on anything that is classed under the wing of a paleontologist, and even more recent than that. And if you need some help or you want some inspiration about paleontology, Jamie Jordan is your man, and what him and Sarah are doing up there is incredible with their future plans. So please support. And there are a multitude of museums. You've got March Museum, Ely Museum, Wisbech Museum. Wisbech Museum is interesting in itself because it was the first purpose-built museum. You know, the building was actually built to be a museum, whereas most museums now are in other places. Whittlesea Museum, um, Huntingdon, you've got the Cromwell. You've got so many museums, and most of them charge very little to go in, or if nothing at all. So please use these people because they really, really know their stuff. And if you have an inkling about something, ask questions. And the thing with historians, whether they're or hobby historians, qualified historians, or people just interested in history, is that the way you find answers is to ask questions and look at something. And if you start to get an inkling, keep going with it. Keep looking. Keep going with what you think you might be able to find. Um, there is literally history all around you, and if you think you find something and you're not quite sure, ask. There are Facebook groups probably in every town dedicated to history. We've got a really good one in Maney, really good one in March. Ask about them. There's another website I need to recommend actually. It's an archive website, CCAN, and the one that Chatteris has is incredibly up to date. I will put links to that in the comments because I can't quite remember what it's called, but it's a website ironically I use all the time, and it is full of photographs and full of videos of Chatteris. And it's a Cambridgeshire one, but then you can have sub ones, and Chatteris one I use all the time. I think Wimbledon is very active on there as well. So, you know, ask about, do your research, look at maps, look at the archaeological finds, ask people who lived in near you for a long time about things, because quite often there are things that are written, not written, they're more verbalized history. So and keep going with them, because you will be shocked at what you will find, and you'll be shocked at what is literally under your feet. So I hope that helps. So there's so many free resources out there. So please don't think you've got to spend a lot of time, and really enjoy your history. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.